Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Pit with another episode of What Are We Eating? Today we're going to be trying all three of Banquet's Crustless pizzas. The Pepperoni, the Supreme, and the 3 meat. With the pizzas being crustless, these are geared to people on low-carb, high-fat diets, which if they're any good, is a great idea to avoid all the carbohydrates in the pizza crust. But from the pictures I've seen, you have to eat it with a fork or a spoon. If that's true, I'll post a snippet of my version of a low-carb pizza that has a crispy, cheesy crust that you eat with your hands like you should eat a pizza, that's not made of cauliflower or any other special flours or ingredients. I'll also leave a link to the video in the description box. Boy, talk about self-promotion. Well, I guess if Gordon can do it, so can I. All three of these 10-ounce crustless pizzas cost $3.48 at Walmart. But unlike the Celebrity Chef frozen meals, these are not sold exclusively at Walmart. You can get them anywhere. So let's try the Banquet Mega Crustless Pepperoni Pizza first, which is all the toppings without the crust. Meaty pepperoni, cubes and slices, savory sauce and cheese, and tasty tomatoes. Just like all of the new frozen foods nowadays, these manufacturers make sure that they post in big print how much protein's in the product. And then either they don't annotate at all, or they annotate in small print the amount of sodium in the product, and we'll get to that in just a minute. If you didn't know any better, the picture looks like a Detroit-style pizza. Out of 25 reviews, the Pepperoni Crustless Pizza received 4.4 stars out of 5. Banquet Mega Crustless Pizza Pepperoni flavor gives you all the pizza toppings you crave without the crust. Enjoy this satisfying Banquet frozen meal with pizza sauce, mozzarella cheese, pepperoni, and tomatoes with 25 grams of protein per serving. Quick and easy to prepare in the microwave or conventional oven, you can devour this frozen pepperoni pizza in minutes without all the mess. Here's the list of hearty ingredients. Usually when the first ingredient in a product is water, that's not a good sign. But it looks like they might be generous with 2 different varieties of pepperoni, diced and sliced. The serving size is the whole tray, which has 520 calories, 42 grams of total fat, 19 grams of saturated fat, 1 gram of trans fat, 120 milligrams of cholesterol, 1,760 milligrams of sodium, 12 grams of carbohydrates, 1 gram of fiber, 6 grams of sugars, and 25 grams of protein. Those were some pretty big numbers down the list for a 10-ounce meal. Actually, I wouldn't even consider this a meal. And with that amount of sodium, you might as well pull the garden hose through the window and hook up an IV. Otherwise, you're going to be swole. Here's the Banquet Crustless Pepperoni Pizza right out of the freezer and right out of the box. And now it goes into the microwave for 3.5 minutes, and there's no need to vent the film. Or if you want to set around for 28 minutes, you can cook it in a preheated 375 degree oven. The cooking instructions are the same for all 3 pizzas, so I don't have to go over them each time. Here's our crustless pepperoni pizza after microwaving for 3.5 minutes and resting for 2 minutes. If you listen really closely, you can hear Neapolitans crying that the word pizza was even used to describe this mess. And regardless of whether it tastes good or not, it still is a mess. So we gave the mess a mix. And I'm telling you, that really is a mess. And once again, before I try it, here's how much thought was behind this crustless pizza. I promise you, the people, that I'm going to eventually taste this, but I have one more thing to say. If you call this what it is, pizza soup, and put it in the can, then you might have something going. But to call this a crustless pizza is a stretch. Or even to call it a mega pizza is a joke. There's nothing mega about this besides a mega mess. So I was reluctant to subject the Invisisou to this pizza soup, which is now turning into a cheesy, watery, gloppy mess. But the Invisisou and I had to do it for you, the people, so you don't have to. So into the old pie hole and down the gullet it went. And it literally tasted like you put these 3 ingredients into a bowl and microwaved it. I mean, I guess that's not necessarily a bad thing, but what's the point? It didn't taste bad, but it didn't really taste good. I mean, it was okay. It's not worth a day's worth of sodium or $3.48, and it's certainly not going to fill you up. Here's my version of a low-carb, crustless supreme pizza. Well, to be fair, it does have a crust, but it's not a dough crust, and it's not a cauliflower crust, and it's not some special flour crust. And if you want to see how I made it, I'll leave a link in the description box. And here's the disclaimer before you watch it. It's not low calorie, it's not low fat, and it's not low sodium. But it is approved for a low carb, high fat diet, and most importantly, it's delicious. Sorry for interrupting today's regular scheduled video. Now back to the program. Now let's try the Banquet Mega Crustless Supreme Pizza. All the toppings without the crust, like tasty onions, tomatoes, bell peppers, and mushrooms, along with meaty pepperoni and sausage, and finally, savory sauce and cheese. And of course, they have to mention the 25 grams of protein, but they fail to tell you how much sodium's in it. But we're going to see that in just a second. Out of 29 reviews, the Supreme Crustless Pizza got 4.6 stars out of 5. Enjoy all the pizza toppings you love without the crust with Banquet Mega Crustless Pizza Supreme flavor. This Banquet frozen meal contains mozzarella cheese, pizza sauce, pepperoni, sausage, onion, tomato, green bell pepper, and mushrooms with 25 grams of protein per serving. Easy to prep in the microwave or conventional oven, you can enjoy this quick and easy meal without the mess. Here's the list of hearty ingredients, and this is interesting. On the pepperoni pizza, water was the very first ingredient. On this pizza, mozzarella cheese is the very first ingredient. And it doesn't state if you're getting sliced or diced pepperoni like it did on the pepperoni pizza. I mean, it really makes no difference. I was just pointing it out to you, the people. Again, the serving size is the whole tray, which has 490 calories, 38 grams of total fat, 18 grams of saturated fat, 1 gram of trans fat, 115 milligrams of cholesterol, 1,540 milligrams of sodium, 12 grams of carbohydrates, 1 gram of fiber, 6 grams of sugars, and 25 grams of protein. I forgot to mention that Banquet foods have proudly been made in the USA since 1953. Here's the Crustless Supreme Pizza right out of the freezer and right out of the box. And now it goes into the microwave. And here's our Crustless Supreme Pizza after microwaving for 3.5 minutes and then resting for 2 minutes. So this time, before we mix it all together, the Invisisous scooped up a bunch of cheese and sauce and vegetables and the meat. So reluctantly, into the old pie hole and down the gullet it went. But the flavor was pretty much the same, with the exception of the peppers, onions, mushrooms, and sausage. At least I hope that was a mushroom. I guess I could say this was a good idea of the crustless pizza, but it was very poorly executed. Now let's go over the Banquet Mega Crustless 3-meat pizza, which has all the toppings without the crust, like meaty pepperoni, sausage, and beef, along with savory sauce and cheese, and tasty tomatoes. Here's the list of hearty ingredients, and if you happen to be one of the unfortunate people that have adverse reactions to MSG or monosodium glutamate, you'll need to avoid consuming all 3 of these crustless pizzas. The serving size is the whole tray, which has 500 calories, 38 grams of total fat, 18 grams of saturated fat, 1 gram of trans fat, 115 milligrams of cholesterol, 1,570 milligrams of sodium, 11 grams of carbohydrates, 1 gram of fiber, 5 grams of sugars, and 28 grams of protein. Here's the Banquet Mega 3-meat crustless pizza, and into the microwave for 3.5 minutes it goes. For the third and final time, the Invisisous went in to get a scoop, for you, the people. And most of that ended up falling off the spoon, so I went in for one more spoonful. And this had a good amount of meat in it, but overall, it had the same watery consistency and flavor with the exception of the added beef. I can't believe people reviewed these and gave them 4+ stars out of 5. And then I thought to myself, how much Kush needed to be blazed to give these a 4-star rating out of 5? And then I reminisced about the legends. I remember trying and saying some foods were unrateable. And then of course someone complained and say, how do you say something's unrateable? So normally I would say that these 3 crustless pizzas were unrateable. But to appease everyone, I'll give all 3 of these piles of slop of 1 out of 10. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.